So my name is Tom Dupree, the third or three, or you can just leave it off if you want to. I am an artist, a musician. I've been a musician for a very long time. Been playing in bars since I was 15. Drummer originally, and a few years ago I decided to start taking YouTube seriously, and have just kind of dove into that for like several years. And I was in bands where I had equity in bands, and then I was a sideman. I had no equity in bands. And kind of on the back end of that, I realized I wanted to start building some stuff that I had equity in. And at the same time, I knew like a lot of things that you and I talk about to be true, but I wasn't practicing them as an artist. I was just the drummer in the band. And so I was always terrified to sing in front of anybody or like show anybody songs I had written. And I was like, man, I'm just going to hit publish. I'm just going to take a chance. And so I started recording my own music. First few songs, no vocals, just to kind of like get into the shallow end.
Yeah.
And as I did that, I started making a bunch of videos on YouTube about the process and just sharing what was going on, and learned that it's a lot scarier taking artistic like risks than you have to do it to understand that like it can be a little terrifying.
Yeah.
So I started doing that and documenting it here on YouTube. And then my couple videos started doing well. You and I connected. I started watching more of your videos. I'd already seen a couple, and started doing the Facebook ad thing, and that started really working. And so
Yeah.
now I guess I've become a bit of a Facebook ad guy on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if anyone doesn't remember, Tom was on the channel a little over a year ago, year and a half, something like that, like early pandemic last year. And I think at that time you just crossed 1,000 subscribers, and now you're about to cross 10,000, which is insanely fast. Like
it's bananas.
yeah. Like that normally does not happen. Like, you know, I usually tell people if you're starting a YouTube channel, you'd be lucky if you get to 1,000 your first year. Like that would be a fantastic first year. To go from 1,000 to like 5,000 after that mark would be like really good too. But you've literally doubled that really good mark. Yeah. So I guess talk about that journey a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So I started a YouTube channel in 2009. I posted one video of me playing a drum solo. The only reason I did it was because I wanted to get a job as a drummer after college. I knew that's what I wanted to do ever since I was in high school. But I went to college, and so I wanted to do it once I got out of college. I played all through school, but this was going to be my full-time job. So I got done with college. I paid a video guy to come and set up his cameras. This is so long ago. I didn't, there weren't cameras on phones. There were I had to pay a guy to come do it.
Yeah.
And now I have like a camera that's nicer than what I used for that video, right? And so I paid this guy to come film it. I booked a studio. I filmed this whole like cringy DVD but it worked. I got in a couple of bands. And that single YouTube video was responsible for pretty much every gig I got, getting me in the door all the way up until like I was 27 or 28 years old. Like it worked well.
Yeah.
But I never posted anything else. I got done with kind of touring for a little while when I turned 30, and I started posting drum covers to YouTube. I did that for a few years, got up to like 140 subscribers, something like that, 150.
Yeah.
And then I started a daily vlog. I started that in 2018, like October, November 2018. Started posting a video every weekday, and I did like 120 of those.
That sounds exhausting.
It was so exhausting.
Yeah.
I did it all on my phone. I didn't have a camera. I didn't have a light. I had nothing. I just set my phone up and filmed myself.
Yeah.
And I did that for like 120 episodes. And somewhere in there, I started releasing music. I started using playlisting platforms. I started talking about that. And those videos did the best. So I'll just lean into that a little bit more. And that took me up to like 500 subscribers. And then I made a video about how much money I spent the year before on playlisting, and that video just blew up.
I think that was the video that YouTube recommended to me when I first heard of your channel.
That one just took off. It got like 100,000 views pretty quickly, and that took me to 1,000 subscribers. And at that time, when I crossed 500, I was like, if I can, this was like March of last year, if I can make it to 1,000 subscribers and get monetized, that was my goal. If I can get monetized by the end of the year, this will kind of make sense, and I'll feel better about it.
Yeah.
And that I crossed 1,000 in like May or June, and then I was like, okay, well, the rest of the year's whatever. And by the end of the year, it was at 5,000, and I just couldn't believe that. And now it's almost at 10,000, and it's like it won't stop.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, I have to say, like, it is incredible. It's amazing. It's incredibly humbling to know that this many people are interested to hear what I have to talk about. But at the same time, it's kind of freaking me out. I'm like, and my phone is constantly blowing up. I get so many emails. I get tons of DMs, and I'm always trying to help and reply. And it's overwhelming sometimes. Like, this is a point of pride for me. I kept up with every single comment on my channel until like about 7,500 subscribers.
Yeah.
And it crossed 7,500. I just had to back off.
Yeah.
I can't reply to everybody. I mean, I was spending like hours a day replying to YouTube comments.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Like, a lot of people probably don't realize, they're like, oh, you got to reply to comments, like, whoopee, like, life's hard. But like, when you get a certain amount, it's like to give everyone like a genuine answer other than just like thanks or like yes. You know, you can spend like hours just replying to people, and then they reply back, and then of course you got other stuff going on. You're not only a YouTuber, you're also like a dad and a husband, and like you have other stuff going on. So I tried to do that. I think I gave up at 15K. Now my thing is I'll try to heart every comment or reply to all the ones with legit questions.
I'm thinking what I'm probably going to try to do is, when I pass 10, I'm just going to take a day and try to like clear out the whole document and see if that way I can say up to 10K I replied to everybody.
Yeah.
But but to your point about like, it's not, rather than just saying like thanks. Yeah. You know, a lot of these questions are very thought-provoking, involved questions where people have genuine questions that they need actual actionable answers to.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to give that answer. I want to be able to help, you know, because I remember what it was like. I still go through that stuff. It's like, God, this is so frustrating. I can't figure this out. And so it takes, you know, a lot of that stuff, you have to think about it. And that's a lot of bandwidth. You know, when you reply to 50 of those in a row, it's a lot of bandwidth. You're just exhausted after, you know. Oh, man, I'm tired. I've been typing.
Yeah. I know, yeah. It's the same. There's a lot of stuff like that you wouldn't think is tiring, but it actually is. That, you know, like live streaming can be kind of exhausting, and that's probably why I'm guessing you don't let your streams go longer than like 90 minutes or 2 hours or so usually, just because that's what I do. It just, you get kind of burnt out. Yeah. And it's almost like you get into this like automatic robot mode where you're just like talking and you don't even like realize what you're talking about. At least is how I feel. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the things that you and I are both known for is that the way we kind of run our channels is we both basically just share how we're marketing our music.
Yeah.
So when we last talked, I don't even remember how I was doing my Facebook ads then. Was I still using link click campaigns? Or did I just start conversions?
Just changed to conversions.
So, and then you know, there was like tier splits and non-tier split options, and there's like, you know, so what's changed for you in the past year and a half in Facebook ad land?
Oh, man. Okay.
It's probably a million things, but yeah, the biggest things that have changed from like, you know, a year ago to now.
So I definitely swear by conversion ads. One thing that has hopped up on me, and it looks like you've talked about it in some videos as well, I was not prepared for, is that when a lot of people are starting an ad account from scratch, they jump straight to conversions, they get shut down.
Yeah.
I get so many messages about this, and it took me a long time to figure out what was happening.
Yeah.
Because I just took it for granted. I had run an engagement I'd run every campaign that Facebook offers.
Right.
And trying to figure it out. And then I moved to conversions. So Facebook was like, real person, active account, we're good.
Yeah.
Come to understand that correct me if I'm wrong because I'm still learning about this, but people are, if you start a fresh account, you got to warm it up and run some engagement ads, then run some link clicks, and then you can move to conversions. It seems to be the move, or something.
Yeah. I'll give a little like kind of summary, not to just like throw my course in here, but this is a summary of modules I have in the course. I'll probably make a YouTube video about it at some point.
Yeah.
But if you just make a new business manager account and make a new ad account and start doing conversions, there's like over a 50% chance you're going to get banned from Facebook ads. You'll probably get your account back, but I have literally talked to several people who have gotten their whole personal Facebook profile permanently banned from doing ads, which is like horrible.
Yeah.
So
like start new Instagram artist pages from scratch. And it's terrible.
And the solution in a nutshell is like when you open that new ad account, you need to spend like $150, $200, something like that over the course of a couple of weeks running like video view campaigns, engagement campaigns. And when you set up your pixel, you want to put it on a site, but don't run an ad on it yet. Just let it like sit on a site, share it organically. And then when you start doing conversion campaigns, don't have more than one ad and review at a time. Right. And if you do that, you very likely will not get banned.
Yeah.
Every so often someone gets the shaft, but most people, if they do that, they're fine.
Yeah. So bring that back to your question, all of that, I got to kind of skip the first warm-up step. And I started running link click campaigns with the 3-tier thing when I first started it. And I quickly moved to conversions, thanks in large part to you. I think we talked about it. You got the conversions. I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. My first conversion campaign, my pixel was not set up correctly. I spent $150 on release weekend. Ooh, no conversions. Money wasted.
I've definitely done that at least twice.
Yeah. Awful feeling. So I started out, when I moved to conversions, I started like just doing a growth campaign. And I swear by a growth campaign. I run a growth campaign for $10 a day without fail. It doesn't stop, no matter if I've released music recently or not.
Well, when you say growth campaign, do you mean like something to your follower, like to your profile to gain followers?
Yeah. So my growth campaign is, it'll be campaign. We'll start with one ad set, targeting 2 lookalike audiences and 2 custom audiences. So I have my kind of cold target, warmish cold target, and retarget all in the same. I don't do a separate retarget. So all that's packed into one, and then I have one ad in there, my best performing ad. For the longest time, it's been my song Lions. And that'll go to a toned in landing page. Then the link in the button goes to my profile, not to the song. So that's just to grow followers over time. And when I drop a new song, I'll A/B test that same ad set configuration with the new ad against the incumbent ad. Whichever one kind of comes out on top is the one that gets to stay, basically. Okay. And kind of rinse and repeat. And so I would run that for $10 a day without fail. Every release campaign, what I was doing is I was doing 3 ad sets. I would do a cold target, targeting similar artists, narrow for Spotify. Then I would do a lookalike ad set, usually just one lookalike audience, and it was usually the video, 95% video viewers of the ad. Of all of my ads within the last 60 days. So I just dump them all into the same custom audience. Yeah. Then I would run like a narrowed ad set with that same lookalike to like the US and Canada. Right. That's really interesting way to. So you would get the videos that you ran in a conversion campaign, make a custom audience of people who watch 95% of it, make a lookalike of that, and test that against your other lookalikes. Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. This is all just like seeing what works, right? Yeah. I'm going to try that like immediately after this call, by the way. So here's what I'm doing now. Okay. Here's what I just did I just dropped a new song on the 14th of May called Hero. Go check it out. Yeah. I haven't checked it out yet. I'm going to check it out. Yeah. And so for that, look, I'll back up. When I ran my campaign for Lions, I did exactly that. I did cold target lookalikes, narrowed lookalikes by country. In those ad sets, I split tested for Lions 4 ads, all the same, exact same visual, different sections of the song. And that campaign did great. That song's about to cross 100,000 streams. It's easily the best song that I had put out so far. Yeah. Hero is doing really well as well. That campaign has done great. My release radar spike was something around 3,000 streams on the second Friday, which is great. I'm super happy about that. That campaign is, I did, so both lookalikes. So the two custom audiences are 95% video views of all of the ad videos that have been viewed in the last 60 days. They're all in there. And then I have people who've converted. So those are my two custom audiences. Then lookalike audiences, 1% lookalikes based off of those two. So a total of 4 audiences in that ad set. The next ad set is the exact same ad set, but with both expansions on, lookalike expansion and detailed targeting expansion. And they both narrow for Spotify. And then the third ad set, I did 3 ad sets, is the top 30 countries where I'm being listened to on Spotify for artists, with both expansion on again, except for India, because India, as you know, will eat up all of our traffic because it's very inexpensive for conversion.
Right.
And so
that's a good way to do it, actually. A lot of people ask me, like, what countries should I target? And for me, it changes all the time because I don't have, like, I mean, I do have a list, but the list is based, it's derived, experimentally. I'm just like running ads, and I basically do what you just said. You look at your Spotify, see what works, and then use that in your ad because it works, right?
Right, exactly. And then in each of those ad sets for Hero, I ran 6 ads, all the exact same visual with a different section of the song. And usually, almost every time, what happens when I split it out for a release campaign like that is there is one ad that is very clearly the winner. And it's the same ad across every ad set. So what I'll do is I'll run that release campaign for like $50 a day for the first 3 days. And then come Monday at midnight, or whenever I wake up in the morning, honestly, I'll back it down to $25. I'll cut it in half, and then I'll turn off all the ads that are very clearly bad. If there's a couple that still look like they might be getting some decent traffic at a decent price, I'll keep them on. Then, depending on how it's performing, I will make a duplicate ad set of the best performing ad set and dump it into my growth campaign. For Hero, I started it the next Friday, so a week after the song went live. I picked, in this case, I picked 2 ad sets that were both doing kind of comparably well, and the best single performing ad in each of them. And I've been running those for the past few days, and it's been going great. That campaign has done really well. One thing I've learned, I think I've learned, this seems to be the case. So it looks like if I can get it to trigger release radar, right? Yeah. It's going to throw that net out to countries who aren't necessarily even listening yet, which is very interesting. So for Hero, the most listenership has been in Russia, which is not surprising because that's where Lions did really well as well, and they're kind of similar songs. But for Lions, it threw it out to like Taiwan, Mexico, Brazil. Hero threw it out to the United States. That hasn't happened before. And there's no indication in my listenership that would tell me that was coming. So I don't know why. I'm still kind of working that out. But it seems like I did a video, I don't know how long ago now. So a couple months on a concept called Trigger Cities that I read on the Chart Metric blog.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely some mixed feelings on that concept. There's some people who think, hey, cool. And there's some people who are like, dude, you've lost your mind. And that's totally cool.
Did you see Circa's video about that? From Entrepreneur? His opinion was basically like, screw you, chart metric people, you're wrong. I mean, in a nice way. I mean, but he was just talking about how it's BS. And I'm kind of split on it too, because like for most of my songs, most of the Facebook ad traffic, just because of the cost, will end up coming from Mexico, Brazil, Russia, wherever. But then the Discover Weekly release radar pushes are almost always mostly in the United States. And I always assumed it was because maybe Spotify noticed either one, I'm from the United States, or two, that maybe Spotify is like most of the listeners in the world are in the US. Because, I mean, like, the US is a really big country. It's had Spotify for really long. So it might make sense that maybe the United States is like Also, my lyrics are in English, so just like you. So
and that might be a huge part of it as well.
Yeah.
So I think, to your point, and in my experience as well, I do think that the theory does hold some water, because it's really not about like, am I trying to grow my audience in X country? It's really about people in almost exclusively for every song of mine, in no particular order, but Russia, Brazil, and Mexico are the countries that always get the most listenership. They seem to have the most active user bases, the user bases who are hungriest for new music, and they have some of the least expensive cost per conversion. So it's really just kind of a math game. If it cost me half as much to get traffic in any one of those three countries, I've effectively doubled my budget.
Yeah.
People there are, let's just call it, twice as likely to look for new music. Now I've quadrupled my budget.
Yeah.
Having done nothing differently. And if I am able to pull it off and the algorithm does trip in my favor, then I have just quadrupled my budget and gotten the same amount of traffic probably that I would have gotten in the United States if I just targeted that directly. But now I've got all these other countries too.
Yeah.
So to me, mathematically, it makes sense. And so that's why I think the theory does hold water. I mean, like, when you start trying to bring emotions into it, like, are they the taste makers? Is this country the taste maker? Do they have better taste in music? Like, I mean, that's, you can argue about that all day, but mathematically speaking, it makes sense to me. So
I think I kind of feel the same way. I mean, like, I don't do it on a city basis. I do it more on like a country basis. But because I've tried doing just the cities and this never worked out well. But when I target like just the countries, you get a good price. But some of the countries make a lot of sense when you do some more research. Like when you look at Sao Paulo, Brazil, it's literally the biggest city in all Americas and the western side of the world and the whole southern hemisphere. So it's bigger than New York and LA. So it makes sense like why Brazil would have like be one of the biggest streaming cities in the world. It's one of the biggest cities in the world, period. Right. And you look at some of the other ones are very big. They're like places in India, which, I mean, India is one of the biggest countries on the planet.
Oh, yeah. So many people.
And like Indonesia and Mexico City is another one, which is also really big. And then also you look at the list, there's like, there's some United States countries there that show up in the most streamed Spotify cities as well. They're all the biggest countries in the US. So it's,
you go to any popular artists on Spotify, like big artists, and their top cities are likely to be Dallas, LA, New York,
Chicago, Atlanta,
all the big cities.
Australia. There's a couple cities, and
Sydney,
London, and
it's all the biggest cities, and that makes sense. It's just like, it's a math game. If you can, like, you want to. At the end of the day, really, you have to be interested in creating relationships and having fans who care about what you're doing and communicating with them. But if you're trying to kind of like get a leg up and throw it out to people who, nobody's going to like your band if they haven't heard of it. Right. So you've got to get it in front of them. Yeah. And Spotify gives you a way to basically like 10x, 100x your financial leverage with their algorithms. Yeah. All you have to do is just pay the upfront cost, and you will likely reap the benefit in return over time. So, like, I spent $150 on my Lions campaign, and I'll make that back from that song. Right. Probably already have made it back from that song, but I just didn't make it back immediately. So you have to be able to front the cost, and then, over a couple of years, like, I think that's the thing. Like, you just have to think about it in terms of years. Like, this is a 3 to 5 year game. If you just stick it out for 3 to 5 years, on the other side of it, you'll probably have a business that is going to make you a guaranteed set, revenue every month.
Yeah. People totally don't realize that aspect, as you're saying, because like my song Chains, and I made a video back in like October or September for the campaign for my song Chains, and I mentioned the video. I had 40,000 streams at the time, and I mentioned I spent like $800 on it, and people were like, "What the hell? Why? How does that make sense?" And what I said in the video was like, "This song is going to hit 200,000 streams," and everyone was like, "But you're not running your campaign anymore. How's it going to hit it?" I was like, we'll just wait. We'll talk in, we'll see how it goes in 8 months. Maybe I'm wrong, or 6 months. Yeah. And
now
it's
over 500,000. Right?
Now it's over 500. I have to add a caveat to that where after I crossed like 300K, I was like, well, the song made all its money back. So I don't really need that money. I'm just going to do it again.
Yeah.
And now it's at 560K. And not like I do have some songs that just flop and they're a loss, like definitely.
Yeah. I have.
And like my song Undone, total loss. That song, for some reason, just people didn't dig it. I mean, some people
too. You're like, I've got this dialed in. I've got it figured out every time.
I was super confident about that song enough where I made I spent probably 10 hours making an animated music video for it. I was so confident in it.
By the way, I am impressed by that. I downloaded Blender and played with it. It is not easy.
Oh yeah, it's very tough. The only reason why I picked it up fast is, I have a master's in mechanical engineering. So I'm like, and I work in mechanical engineering. So I'm used to all those 3D design softwares.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why, like when I first downloaded it, I'm like, oh my God, how do regular people use this? Like I spend literally like 40 hours a week playing in 3D software already. So it was still tough for me to learn it,
Yeah.
But Blender, yeah, everyone who wants to make great artwork for free, or videos for free, Blender is like the shit if you have free time to learn it.
Yeah. It's just a learning curve for sure.
It's a learning curve. Yeah. Yeah. And I bought some courses to help as well. What's that site that sells all those courses? Oh man.
There's several of them, Monthly and Teachable and
no, I forget. Oh man, it's gonna bug me. Well, whatever. It was on sale. I got a bunch of courses. Anyway, so yeah, like some songs flop and then you get a loss, but other songs win, you get a profit, and some songs break even. But this is just on a scale of like a year. As you're saying, if you think about it in the scale of years, like with an S, it's not like songs just die one day, for the most part.
And another cool thing is like, so this time around, I've just tested each single, and then moved on to the next single. And I've released 8 songs that I'm singing on, and I think I'm going to bookend those and make an album, intro, outro, and make an album. And the cool thing about that is that I have, through the 8 songs, I have basically let the market tell me which one the singles are.
Yeah.
What do you like? Which ones do well? And so those are the ads I'll use to promote the record when I drop the record. Now I have between Lions and Hero, and When We Were Young, that ad did pretty well too. Between those 3 songs, I have 3 ads that I know do well.
Yeah.
And I will drive all that traffic to that record. And when I drop the full-length record, I'll probably spend a sizable budget, more than I've spent on singles, and I'll just pump it for the first like 2-3 weeks. And I'm willing to bet that within a calendar year, I'll make back all the money and probably then some that I spent promoting that record.
Yeah.
And so in the future, what I'll probably do is make a record all at one time. Like let's say I hole up in here in December and I make a record with the whole thing, and then I release single by single throughout the next year, and at the end of the year, I drop the record. And I do the same thing over and over again. Just let the market tell me what you like, and then I'll use that song to promote the record when it drops.
Yeah.
I've got a little system where like I'm going to make my money back.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll start turning a profit.
That's fantastic advice.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they make an album, they're desperate to drop it, right? Which makes sense. You just
it's like an engagement ring.
Oh yeah,
Amy, it burned a hole in my pocket. I could not get rid of it fast enough.
Yeah,
and that's what people think about albums. Like the world has to hear this. Like, just be a little bit patient. Take the year. Do it. Every 6 weeks, new single. If you have enough songs, every month, new single.
Yeah.
Just let the people tell you what they like. Pick your favorites that you think will do well. If you release 6-8 songs over the course of a year before you release your record, people will tell you which one they like. And you'll probably have one in there that does really well.
Yeah, and that way, if you're starting from scratch, by the time your album drops, you might have like 20,000 monthly listeners and 3,000 followers or something. And
exactly. Then your album, your baby, isn't dropping to nobody.
Yeah. Don't want to drop baby to nobody. You want someone there to catch it, right?
No.
And there's one thing that a lot of people will do is they'll do what you just said, except what they'll do is they'll make the whole album available to purchase like whenever. So like from the first single being released, someone could go on their website and buy the whole album. But it's just the streaming services don't get it until that whole stretch. And that, like, some people have used that as a justification for why people should actually buy their album, either digital or physical.
Yeah.
You know, and it works really well. It's kind of like if you love the music, you'll probably want to just buy the album.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to want to wait a whole year. But if you don't really care that much, you know, you'll just wait. And then you win either way. And so it's, you kind of get the benefit of an album. You get an excuse to sell an actual thing, and you can take advantage of what the streaming services offer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you like Spotify's, the reason Spotify wins is because their software and their algorithms are just top notch. Like, nobody else even comes close with the discoverability. Nobody.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. You know, I'd love to see more competition on that front. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
But they.
Have you ever used Apple Music?
I have, but I can't find anything new on there.
It's so bad at recommending new stuff to me. I mean, like, you have to like purposefully train it to recommend new stuff. Where Spotify, it just looks at what you listen to for the most part. Apple, I feel like I had to manually go in and like download and make sure I like tracks I liked and make sure I added stuff to playlists. Where Spotify is just like, hey, we know you're stupid. We're just gonna figure it out for you.
Yeah,
we're gonna force feed you the music we know you want to hear, and they're so good at it. Like when they send me something, I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out because I feel like Spotify is probably giving me something I actually like. You know?
Yeah. And so if you take the time to understand like that this software is really kind of here to help you, you can leverage it and take advantage of it and let it help you. I don't think it happens much with people probably under 30, but people over 30 are still very much stuck in the idea of like make a record, release the record, tour the record, that kind of whole old school thing that, you know, we all had to do. And you just don't have to do that anymore. I mean, you don't even have to play a show. You don't have to play a show. You can never play a show in your life, and you can just live stream making your beats, and then you can live stream playing your beats back. And we could do this right now. Like, I could have made a lo-fi tape for this whole live stream. We could be playing it in the background and talking over the top of it.
Yeah.
You could, like, the possibilities are limitless.
I know. I mean, I think like a lot of the people who are kind of in between leveraging both things are probably making out the best.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, I guess the younger generation, I'm kind of in the middle, you know, of that threshold. I'm 29, so I'm like, you know, older millennial basically. So I just forgot what I was gonna say, man. So people who are so people who like do all the online stuff and do the touring and the merch and the stuff, I feel like that's like the best position to be in. And unfortunately, like, it doesn't make sense for everyone. Like, I have no interest in like touring and doing shows. Like, I'm all about the online only thing, and like maybe I'll get it to a point where I can do some live stream stuff. And I've got some new equipment to try to arrange something actually, but it's weird with electronic music, you know, you can't, like, it's not like with a band where you can just play, you know, but from the people I've talked to, the ones who seem to really crush things are ones who they can perform live, and they do perform live. They do bring merch to their shows. They've done some touring. They're big on running Facebook ads to Spotify, but they're also big on running Facebook ads to sell stuff in their store. They're good at their mailing list. They're good at replying to comments and doing face-to-face with people. And
if you can bring people into your world, create a world, bring them to your mailing list, bring them to your website, like you know, having traffic on YouTube or Spotify or Instagram, all great, all necessary, all really beneficial.
Yeah.
But you really get your super fans by bringing them that next step to you. And a live show is just about the best way to do that. If somebody can come and talk to you and give you a hug at the merch table, tell you they love your song, get a picture, like, I mean, that dude, whenever I've gotten to meet the bands that I love, I carry that for years, that just one little experience. And so it's a big deal. But I think now with the power of data, you can wait to tour. You don't have to grind it out in the back of a van playing to 5 people. You can wait to tour until you have pinpointed the 15 cities where there are House of Blues, and you have a pretty good shot of selling them out.
Right.
And you can guarantee that you're going to make money. And if there's one market where you're like, man, people just aren't quite there yet, pump ads to them. Get them out. It's that simple.
A lot of people ask about the idea of running ads to specific cities they want to play shows in. And I never had any experience in this until a couple weeks ago. One of my consulting students wanted, he's in a band that they tour a lot locally. They do 150 shows a year. Yeah. And so he was running ads to local cities, and it was surprisingly not much more expensive than running it to worldwide. I mean, it was more expensive than Brazil and Mexico, but not astronomically so.
Right.
And on one hand, he has a very specific niche. He knows his audience, and he's music's really good. But it was surprising that that's a viable strategy. And you can use events on Facebook. You can run event campaigns to get people to sign up. And it's
once you've got them signed up, then you don't have to pay to talk to them. They're part of the group, the event, and then you get an opportunity to engage with them even before the event happens. So you don't have to keep spending money to get them. You've kind of got their attention, at least step one.
Yeah.
So, it's very effective. I mean, I went and saw, granted, much bigger artist, but last time Millennium was in town, I went and saw him because of an ad on Instagram. That was the only way I knew he was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the week before. Oh, he's going to be here. Yeah, I'll go.
Oh, sick.
That's...
Yeah, I would love to see it. He's one of my favorite electronic artists.
Dude, it was great. His production is insane.
I can imagine. Electronic artists are crazy because, they don't really do much on stage. I mean, I don't want to smash and make fun of people who DJ because it is kind of its own art form. But since they're not doing as much on stage as, let's say, a musician would be, it's they make up for it with these crazy lighting systems and projector screens and custom artworks and remixes of songs and some electronic artists will bring in live bands for songs and performers and stuff. It's nuts.
Yeah, they the artistry in that is the preparation, I think. It's the preparation beforehand. The actual performance is kind of just the repetition. Yeah. But the artistry of that is the creating the show, creating the theme and the flow of it and the story. And I think I've never seen him live, but I've seen a bunch of videos. Excision, he does such a good job with his visuals. They're just ridiculous, And you can tell, he spent a lot of time on that. I'd love to be able to put on a show like that. That'd be cool. That would get me out from live shows as an artist. I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. If I could see myself where if I knew people wanted it, I feel that's be the only thing where I could get motivate myself to actually go out and do a live kind of thing.
for us, it's weird though, because you said, are we DJs? Are we band guys? You know what I mean?
Right,
I sing on everything. I'm probably going to start incorporating some other people at some point. But I sing on everything, so I'm just going to stand up there and sing to a track.
Right.
Probably not. That's kind of lame.
Yeah, that is lame.
My songs and not sing them. Well, that's kind of lame too. I don't know what I would do.
There's a cool artist called Quiet, but it's spelled with an O instead of a U. He makes electronic. It's dubstep mixed with hip hop mixed with hardcore music. Mm-hmm. It's kind of my side project Murder Night, basically. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard that, but so live he's DJing tracks, but then he's screaming into a microphone. So he's DJing and a vocalist live.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really unique kind of blend. And Sanhola will do similar things where he's DJing on decks, but then for some songs he'll pull out a guitar and he'll actually sing. Some songs the vocals are so processed where he couldn't reasonably do them, so he'll just DJ them. I picked up this cool thing. Let me know in the chat if anyone has heard of this before. This is what I'm trying to do to figure out if I can do a performance thing. An Octatrack. It's it's like they call it a dynamic performance sampler. So you can like load in samples, but like cut up your songs in chunks and like transition to them really cool and loop things and apply effects and do like kind of like DJing, but mixed with like synthesizer stuff and sampling. And so I was going to like try to do that, pair it with a microphone and maybe like a synthesizer and try to like perform my songs.
Times approach.
I don't know. I've never seen that.
Yeah. She does like, well, she's got all kinds of stuff and just turning knobs and weird stuff. And yeah.
Kind of like a lot of the synth people, which I guess I am one too, but a lot of the people who perform like synth, like very nerdy, like synthesizer music live, you know, like with all the Eurorack stuff, there's turning knobs, like kind of doing that, but like basic enough where I could still sing over it. It's kind of what I want to do. Cause I don't want to be a DJ. To me, that just feels like I literally bought a Native Instruments tractor to try it. And it just feels so lame to me. Like I know it's actually really hard to do well, but it feels lame and it's hard. So I'm like, nah, I'm going to figure something else out.
See, for me, I've been playing drums on stage for a long, long time. And for a very large chunk of that time, I was also running Ableton to run tracks for the band. Yeah. So I'm over here doing this, firing tracks, hitting triggers, running everything. So to stand behind two decks and just twist the knob sounds like a dream to me. I would love to do that.
Right. Yeah. I know, like it's a weird balance. Like you don't want to be what you were doing, drumming and controlling a whole set, but you also don't want to just be like sitting there bouncing on stage with headphones on as you like click one button every. I was like, I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna like look cool on stage. It's just not who I am, you know. Like,
it's not your thing.
It's not my thing. I'm not the guy who's like super pumped on stage. I mean, like maybe when I was 17, I did some live stuff, but I wasn't crazy or anything.
You strike me as the guy who would just rip like a screamo band guitar on stage. But then you would crush.
I've never crushed a guitar. Oh, like a solo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that was my thing. I remember when I'm in high school, like when we would cover Freebird, you know, because we were high school kids, and who doesn't cover Freebird? And I remember the guitar solo thing. I like put the guitar on the back of my head and be like, ripping crazy solos and like holding the guitar out and doing crazy like overhand stuff. And
I have no problem visualizing that at all.
Yeah, that was me. But like jumping up and down and like looking cool was not my thing. Like my guitar was like this high.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was like all the way up. So it looked like a total nerd. Anyways, Matt, I want to go through some of the comments because there's probably like I don't even know how many comments there are. There's like over 50 comments in the chat.
Ooh, bunch, yeah.
So, I mean, some of them are just people chatting to each other, but I feel like there's probably some fantastic questions in there. So, sup Kilmore, sup Sam Steiner, sup Solo Hit, sup Spoiled Suede, Skate Alex, Fade Records, Emiri, Diego, Dan, The Dimensions. The Dimensions. Oh, okay. I get it. It's a cool name. Harry, Bart, and I'm sure I missed some people, but hello, everyone. All right.
Are you going up or down?
I just started at the top and just wanted to say hi to everyone. So let's start with, let's see. Okay, iOS 14. That's the first kind of conversation I'm seeing here.
Okay.
This question in particular is about not seeing, you know, when you look at like countries or ages or genders and you see unknown stats for everything.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been seeing that? Because what I've noticed is that my ad account, I can see which countries have gotten conversions and the cost per conversion in countries. But I look at like literally 10 ad accounts a week, and some of them see no country data whatsoever. Yeah. And some of them do. So which option do you have?
So I don't see any breakdown.
Okay.
It's all unknown. I can't. This weird thing has happened too. I see no conversion breakdown. I can see breakdown by link click, by landing page views, by impressions, but I can't sort data by link click or landing page views. I can only sort it by impressions. Fortunately, those generally coincide, But if I want to look at like which one got the most link clicks and down, I can't do that. It won't let me do it. And I can't see who converted anywhere. So now all of my results, I can only kind of guess the best I can with toned in results and what I'm seeing on Spotify for artists. So
damn.
I was talking to somebody, somebody sent me an email last week and they contacted Facebook support and Facebook told them that it was out for everybody, that was no longer a thing. You were not going to be able to see conversion breakdown.
Yeah.
Except they seem like they got a lot to figure out over there.
Yeah, the Facebook, and I'm sorry if anyone from Facebook sees this, but the Facebook marketing expert people, my experience have been that for the most part, they're totally useless. It sounds like they're IT support people reading from a script. So if you ever get a call or email saying this, hey, I'm from Facebook, I'd love to give you a consultation, do it, because there are good people that work there, but take everything they say with a massive grain of salt and be prepared to ignore at least half of what they say.
Yeah.
I've talked to several people who have they're doing what I was doing and they're happy with how it was. They do one call with one of those people and the next time I talk to them, they're like, nothing's working anymore. Oh my God, I spent like $500 and like nothing's happening. I look and the Facebook guy had them set up like a reach campaign, a video view campaign, and a traffic campaign and told them that he wasn't ready for conversions yet. Even though he already had conversions that were working very well. He had him like turn that off and set up these 3 other things at like these crazy high prices. And I was like, they duped you. They sucked you real good.
Yeah. One thing that I think is important to remember, and this isn't, I don't mean this as a slight. Facebook is interested in making Facebook money. So they should be. They're a business. That's what businesses are about. You need to turn a profit. And so a lot of the times I can't speak from personal experience with actually talking to an advertising consultant, but a lot of the times all of the little pop-ups and options they give you, automatic placements recommended, that's what's going to get you to spend the most money. It's what's going to get your money to flow the fastest. So it's kind of like a balance between, you want to take advantage of Facebook's AI. You want to let it work on your behalf, but you've got to give it enough data to go with. You've got to make enough decisions up front, like point it in the right direction, and then it will work for you. If you just leave it open, it's not going to figure out what you want it to do, and then you're just wasting money. Yeah. And I think that support people are probably, if they can get you to play the long game and like do a engagement campaign and then a reach campaign and then a traffic campaign and then a conversion campaign, well, now they've just gotten $1,000 out of you instead of just the $250 you were going to spend on your conversion campaign or whatever.
Yeah, I think part of it's that. I think the other aspect might be that they're used to working with regular businesses,
right?
Who, if you're just starting as a regular business, it probably makes sense to start with reach and engagement and until your page grows a little bit. But I don't think any of them have ever worked with like any of us, like you, me, or anyone watching this channel.
It feels weird to say this because we've been doing this for a little while. We've been working at this for a long time, but we are still so early on this Facebook ads for music thing. Like people still are like, why don't you use playlists? Which playlist platform do you recommend? I'm like, I mean, it feels like old news to me, because I've been doing it, but it really is still like, it's very new. The opportunity is still very, very fresh. So if you're learning about it now, like you're ahead of the curve, big time.
Yeah. A lot of people will wonder, like, are these things outdated? And yes, stuff changes like every month. So kind of yes, but also like no. Exactly. Like iOS 14 didn't ruin Facebook ads. Like my ads aren't really, like, maybe a little bit more expensive, but nothing like that isn't normal. Like it might just be like there's slightly more competition now or whatever. Right.
Mine have actually gone down.
Yeah, there you go.
More results for less money.
Yeah. And like, but one reason that could be is like maybe people saw the iOS 14 stuff and they like just said, nah, screw this. I'm not verifying a domain, and I just quit. So now there's less competition and the price goes down. It's like, it's not like Facebook's just trying to arbitrarily like increase the costs, because like my opinion is that if they can get the best performance for you and make you really happy with your results, that's the way they get the most money from you.
Right.
If I found a way I could run a campaign and get 2-cent conversions that all converted to Spotify, I'd give them like 10 grand, you know, because that would let me do a lot. You know, I could grow a lot faster, and I'd be much more willing to accept that level of financial commitment than, you know, like 15 cents or 20 cents a conversion.
Right. One thing I think, kind of bring it back full circle. One of the reasons I really like a growth campaign is because it keeps that data constant. And I think that's one of the reasons my costs have continued to come down, because it hasn't just been like a tank down and it's done. Yeah. It has come down by 1 cent every so often, just like clockwork. It's like the more data it gets, the more it understands what I'm trying to get it to do. And I almost think of it like if you think of like a sideways hourglass, you know, pinched at the middle. You start out with a ton of options and you don't know what you're doing, and Facebook doesn't know what you're doing. And so your job is to take this and narrow it down to this. And you give Facebook that seed of this is what I want. And you give it as many of those seeds as you can over time. And I think that's what that growth campaign does. And as you give it those seeds, Facebook will then have a very, very healthy plant that can grow out this direction. But if you don't narrow it down and give it enough information here, it's just going to stay at this block of unknown across the board. So your job is to pinch it in the middle and give it really good data.
Man, this is getting really deep. You're gonna have to hire a guy, like a Photoshop expert, to make an actual graphic for this. Like literally like a bunch of seeds over here. It gets down to like one seed going through the center, and then there's a plant growing on the other side. And but yeah, I know exactly. That's a really good analogy to kind of describe it.
Yeah. And so I think like for the hero campaign, I think that's why the lookalike expansion and detailed targeting expansions actually worked. Because I've tried those in the past out here, and they don't work. Because you're giving it a bunch of bad data, and you're basically saying, let's magnify an inefficient system. And it's just going to magnify the inefficiency. So if you can whittle it down and create a really efficient system, then you magnify it, and now you've magnified the efficiency. And I think that's why it worked well for me this time, is because of that. Because the data has been, I've been collecting this data for almost a year.
Right, yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
It just took time.
Yeah, and I've sometimes I do it just like you're describing, where I narrow it down really far, and then I turn on detailed targeting expansion, and that works well. What I've noticed, at least, and again, you know, everyone watching, literally, there's like a million ways to make this work. So there's a lot of people will try what I do and it won't work, and they will try what Tom does and it won't work. They'll try some made up thing they had in their head and it'll work, and then if we tried what they worked, it wouldn't work. So it's either way. Like there's a lot of ways to kind of skin the cat, so to speak. And so what I've noticed is that for my like niche metalcore dubstep project, narrowing it down a lot and then turning on detailed targeting expansion. Like I'll do Spotify narrowed by metalcore, narrowed by dubstep, detailed targeting expansion. That works really well. What I've noticed from my electronic music, it's like not every time, but a lot of time the bigger and broader the ad set, the better. So I'll have like pop music with detailed targeting expansion on, or I'll have like Post Malone detailed targeting on, Machine Gun Kelly detailed targeting on. And when I compare that to it with it off, it's almost always more expensive.
Yeah, I've had the opposite experience.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why like testing is king with this stuff. Like I always tell people, if you find something that works and it's completely opposite of what works for me, then like just do it. You know, like ignore everything that I say. If it works for you, who cares? You know?
Yeah, it's almost like I really wish that through experimenting with all this and testing all this stuff publicly on YouTube, I could just give somebody a roadmap. Say, here, if you do this, it will work. Yeah. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. We kind of have to come at it more of like, this is how you find water in the desert. This is how you chop down a tree. And now you have to find your own path. Like that's more the skills that have to be taken from what we talk about, rather than like, where's the map? Give me the map. Just show me how to get there. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. You've just got to learn how to, you've got to like be confident in testing and trying things, and don't give up. Like that's the hardest thing, especially at first. Just like No matter how bad it turns out, no matter how many $1 conversions you get, you've got to keep going. Because it's only going to get better if you don't quit. So you gotta keep going. And the beginning is the hardest part by far. I mean, I feel like I've been at it for about a year, and I feel like I'm just to the point I'm getting my head above water. Like, hey, kind of getting this figured out.
Right.
It takes time.
Yeah, it does. And just to be a complete polar opposite statement. So obviously, don't give up. Don't try it once and say it doesn't work for me. Don't spend $5 and quit. But also, if it's every so often, even for me, you know, I've been doing this a while, I have songs that flop, and you have to know when to back off of a track and just say, okay, I'm going to save this money for the next one. So, like,
100%.
Some people will like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep testing this out. I'm going to make it work. And they spend their whole budget, and it sucked, and it does nothing for them, where they would have been better off if they said, okay, let me, like, scale this back. The song's just not popping. Let's just save it for the next one. But yeah, don't quit, but also don't waste your money.
Be smart about it.
Be smart about not quitting.
Don't quit in the micro, but don't be afraid to move on, or in the macro, don't be afraid to move on in the micro.
Exactly, yeah.
I did the same. I did that with my song "We Can Run." I think it is only like 5,000 or 6,000 streams, even still. I thought that song was great. I love that song. I was like, this song is going to do really well. And dude, I tested hundreds of dollars, tons of different ads, and I never, ever could get the cost to come below like 40 cents a conversion. Yeah. I mean, for like a month, I tested, tried to find something, and it just wouldn't work. And sometimes, no matter how much you love a song or how much you think it's good, other people just don't.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Just move on.
Yeah, that was my song Undone. Exactly. Same
It
story.
hurts. It still hurts. I mean, Lions did great. I released Holding On. I was like, I feel good about this song.
Yeah.
Nobody else did.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, like, you know, my song Socialize was like, I banged that out so quick. I remember, like, I wrote the whole song in a day.
Yeah.
And you know, I didn't even make a music video for it because I was like, meh, it's not gonna do well.
Yeah.
And it's my second best performing song ever. And my song Chains, like, I was really confident in it. But Socialize, I was not.
Yeah.
And just is how it is. Like, you can never guess. You can never guess.
I'll hit publish. When I hit publish on Lions, I was like, this song sucks.
Yeah. That ends up being your best performing song, and everyone loves it. And it's
what? Just never know, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you have to hit publish consistently. Like, you know, one of the best things I have internalized about just putting stuff out on the internet, period, is like, you've got to just do it all the time. Yeah. You don't have to overdo it. You know, I did that with my vlog and, you know, burnt out, took several months off. That's not good, but you got to keep taking shots at the net. That's how you figure out what works, and people will tell you. They will vote with their attention. Yeah.
Fantastic advice.
Push that button. Push hard on it. When you get a winner.
Yeah. I mean, you're as you said, like, you'll promote the same song until you find a better one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly. I'm still running ads for Socialize that came out last April. And I'm still running ads for Chains that came out last September.
Lions has tripped Discover Weekly like every other week since it came out. Like, it just keeps happening. And you know, they're not all big. Sometimes it's just a 50 plays, 100 plays, but it keeps happening. Keeps getting on there and just going and going.
Yeah.
So at some point I could, let's say I get a wild hair in 1 week and I just want to run a $100 a day for 3 days campaign for Lions. I bet I could get a massive Discover Weekly boost that next Monday by just doing that. Because it's already, popularity scores above 30. It's already doing well. It's already doing it anyway. And so you just kind of keep the gas on it a little bit, and then you can push down really hard when you want to. And, you know, maybe use, if you want to pull the bait and switch, you can use that ad to push to another song.
Yeah.
Don't in that, but you can. You know, I recommend being authentic with your ad experience, because I think that's how you build trust with people. But, you know, if you wanted to make a playlist, if you want to make a playlist with, say, Lions that's doing well in your new single, and drive traffic to the playlist, so people go boom, boom, listen back to back, you might actually get more traffic to your new song with an ad that has been proven to work.
Yeah, my thing where what I'll do is like the first month the song's out, I'm sending them right to the song.
Yeah.
And then after that, I switch it to my profile. So like Socialize and Chains, I'm still running them, but after that 1 month period, it's all going to the profile so that I can kind of do what you're describing. Use an old song that is proven to work to promote all my songs. And since your new song is at the top of your discography, it's the one people click.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I do to the song for release campaign, and then after I've gotten Release Radar and hopefully Discover Weekly, I'll switch it to the profile. It's really like 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how long it takes.
Yeah.
And then it continues to do well because hopefully what will happen is, like it just happened with Hero this time. Lions was at the top spot of your most popular songs, and I managed to get Hero above it. So now Hero is at the very top of the profile. Not only is it the first most released song up here, but it's also the #1 in the playlist that you're going to play. If you just hit play, that's going to be the first one that plays. So it's a double win. So send it to the profile, follow buttons there, play that song first. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, hopefully. Unless they hate your song because you showed them the best part and the intro's bad.
Right, exactly. Dude, that's so on that note, this is one thing that I want to keep testing with later songs. In fact, I might do it with older songs and rerun ads. I have discovered, so my music's fairly formulaic. I'll just admit it. I'm not even scared about it. I've got like 8 bars of verse, like 4 bars of verse, 4 bars of like pre-chorus, and then break/chorus, and then drop, right?
Yeah.
8 bars of break, 8 bars of drop, maybe sometimes 16. I have found that if I start the ad in the middle of the verse at the like pre-chorus, basically 4 bars of second half of verse into chorus, it will just get to the drop, and then the listener kind of has all the information they need about what's happening in this song. They get the emotional kind of build up, the tension, and then they get the release all in that 1 15-second ad. And those ads invariably have performed the best every time. It's weird. Like no other section. If I drop them right into the drop, like, yeah, this is the most epic part of the song.
Never, usually doesn't work.
They need to understand the journey.
Yeah, what I've found is like the chorus only, or the chorus/drop will only do the best like a third of the time. The other 2/3 of the time, it's either a verse or pre-chorus or bridge. Yeah, I think dropping people directly into a chorus or a drop, it like gives away all the sauce of the track without any of the tension. So it's like if you drop them into a verse and a pre-chorus, I mean, for your ads too, they're probably not even getting to the chorus before they convert. I would assume, because you're giving them all the tension, and then they're like, oh, I like where this is going, and it's like almost like their imagination's better than what the track is in a way.
I've got to get the payoff now.
Yeah. And so they go in, and like I think that's why the chorus and drops only work like a third of the time. From what I've seen, that's probably why you're essentially seeing the same thing. Yeah. Are you still doing 15-second ads?
Yeah, just 15. That's it.
Okay. You still doing just stories?
Yep.
Damn, man.
So I'll look. Let me see what my hero ads are doing today. They've been doing pretty well. So they're at 7 cents today.
Oh, snap. Wow.
Just stories placements.
Jesus.
And it's almost all Instagram traffic. I mean, hardly any Facebook or Messenger stories. I mean, Messenger stories almost never happens.
Yeah.
A few Facebook, but it's almost all Instagram traffic.
So what I normally notice is that Instagram Explore ends up being my best placement. Instagram Stories, it's usually like somewhere in the middle. It's never the cheapest, almost never the cheapest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's an argument to be made that my lookalike audiences have trained Facebook to look for people who respond to stories ads. Probably,
actually. Yeah, I forgot about. So you're pretty much, the lookalike audiences are like the biggest part of your campaigns.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I treasure my lookalikes.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt them.
Yeah. I how many people are in the custom audience that feeds that lookalike?
It varies depending on when I've released a song, but anywhere between 1,000 and 3,500.
Okay. Wait, so you're not doing 180 days, you're doing 60 days. So they're kind of always like, it's like a river of data. It's like people come in, people come out, and interesting. Have you tried doing a longer lookalike?
I haven't recently, not in a while. I might do that. The reason I went with 60 and have stuck with it is because I thought about it from a retargeting perspective. Am I going to remember something that I saw over 2 months ago? It's unlikely.
Yeah. But with the lookalike, though, it's strangers who have never seen you before.
Right. Yeah. And so it makes sense to do longer from that perspective. But I was really kind of only thinking about the retargeting just the custom audience when I made it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I stuck with it that way.
Yeah.
But I might split test that again soon. I'm gonna, after Hero, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from releasing music because building out a bunch of infrastructure is a brand.
My brand.
Yeah. Redoing my website and putting together a course and need to build out that platform. So as you know, it's tough to balance it all. So I'm going to take a break from releasing music while I can build out all this kind of like foundational stuff. I'm excited for the day, hopefully within the next 6-8 months, that all of my like core things are built. I don't have to rebuild them. And then it's just content on top of those things. Once I can get to that point, then I don't have to take as many breaks from releasing music to like do X, Y, Z.
Right.
And,
Yeah, it was a lot more work to get my first course created than it was to, one, than it is to update the course, and two, than it was to get the second course, just because first you're trying out different software packages, different course platforms, different sales funnels, different email providers. You're figuring out how to connect them, which is a hot mess. I remember when I did the first beta for my course, I literally said in my YouTube, YouTube community section, this is literally 75% off because I don't even know if it's going to work when you buy it. You might buy this and you might not get access, and we might spend a few days trying to figure out how to get you in the course. So this is 75% off for 20 people because that was my beta test. And that's how much of a nightmare it was getting it up off the ground. And but now it's I just know it works, right? I know if someone buys on the site, it's going to send them an email with the login instructions. It's going to automatically add them to the Teachable store. It's going to automatically add them to the mailing list in the right category. And it's just set up. And so I feel what you mean when you say building the systems, because the systems are a lot of work to build.
You don't envy my position right now.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't know if you have any idea of what you're going to use. I highly recommend something like ThriveCart over ClickFunnels.
I'm not going to use ClickFunnels.
$100 a month minimum.
Yeah, I'm planning to use Podia. Have you heard of that one?
Actually, I haven't. No.
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty good system. There's a YouTuber I like. His name is Ali Abdal, and he uses Podia. He's like a productivity.
Is it
student.
Podium?
Podia.
I'm gonna check it out.
So I'm sure you're like me. I will research to the ends of the earth before I make my move.
Yeah.
Which forms I'm considering, and read everything. And so that's what takes the most time for me is I want to pick the right platform first so I don't have to rebuild it again.
Yeah.
Because I've had to do that many times. I went from Squarespace to Wix, and now I'm just hosting a landing page on Card. And ultimately, I'm going to build my site on Ghost, which seems to be a kind of fresher, newer WordPress alternative.
Ghost?
Ghost, yeah.
Another thing I haven't heard of.
Ghost, SO, I believe, or maybe it's ghost.org. One of the two.
There's a Ghost website hosting or whatever. I'll just do a Google search so I can remember to look it up later.
The one that I'm not sure on yet is where I'm going to put the community. I'm not going to do Facebook.
That's what I use.
Yeah. I don't want to do Facebook because I want to own it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about using Circle because Circle has a white label option that will just integrate with your site, and you can just do community.andrewsouthworth.
I've thought about
or just going straight to Discord and starting there and then moving it later. I don't know.
I've thought about switching to Mighty Networks. That's
I've used Mighty Networks as a consumer with courses before, and it's really good. I was looking using between that and a combination of Podia and Circle or Mighty Networks.
So what I use, just in for reference for you, but also everyone that's watching, if you're thinking about launching your own thing, if you were to buy, either if you have or if you're thinking about buying one of my things, all my sales sites are on Thrivecart. Cool thing with Thrivecart, you can sell not just products, you can sell subscriptions, and you can do pay what you want models. So I'm starting to plan out like getting more into the whole merch email list kind of thing, and I'm trying to do some like pay what you want, like physical items, but like there'll be like a shipping cost, so kind of free plus shipping and handling with a pay what you want thing. But you can also do all those different things. You can also do free trials, or not free trials. You can do cheap trials. You can do like a 3-day trial for like $5 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm not using any of those things. I'm just using the normal thing. But it's cool that to know that I can do it. And there's a native integration with Teachable, which is what I use to host my course. Which very expensive stuff, by the way. Like a lot of people might not realize it, but like Thrivecart, $700. Teachable, I pay $1,200 a year.
Yeah.
So it's like, that overhead stuff. A lot of people don't realize.
It's that's kind of the part that one of the reasons I like to do all my research is because it's definitely an investment. If you're gonna release a course, I mean, it's not like, yes, I hope people buy it, but it's not a get rich quick scheme. Like, it's an investment up front, just like anything else. Like, talking about investing into ads, like, I'm not going to make that money back eventually or immediately. I'm going to make it back eventually. Same with the course. Like, it's going to cost me a fair amount in the hole just to launch the first one.
Yeah.
And
you might spend 120 hours of your own time building it too.
Right, exactly.
It sucked to have to undo it all just to redo it on like another site.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely a considerable amount of work, and that doesn't even take into account actually filming and editing and putting together the course.
Right. Yeah. That's almost the easiest part of the course, because that's probably what was the quickest for me and mine, just because you're just sharing what you already know. Like, I mean, I wrote like I didn't script anything. I just like wrote like a bunch of bullet points. Like, I'm going to talk about this topic for video, this topic for video, this topic for video. So it was a piece of cake. I mean, aside from editing the videos and exporting them, shooting the video is like the easiest thing. And ironically, that's also the only thing that people care about. So it's
Well, they care about the other things when it goes wrong. And it doesn't. The point of the other things is to disappear. The user experience should be super easy. Yeah. And that is really important to me. I don't want there to be any friction. And I also don't, one of the things I've avoided as well is like taking on too many other platforms. I used to do that a lot. Then I found that like both my attention and other people's attention was fragmented. Where do you find me? Where do you talk to me? And so that I want to eliminate that. I don't want to do 1,000 different things just because they're available. So I want to centralize it basically.
That makes sense. Yeah, because as we mentioned before, your Instagram DMs are bumping.
It's crazy. Actually, my follower count isn't like crazy, and so when I tell somebody who thinks that's the metric, hey man, this is pretty full all the time. Like, really? Like,
yeah.
You wouldn't expect.
So everyone that's watching, all 67 of you, you're gonna go to Instagram right now. You're gonna search for Tom Dupree 3. And you're going to send him a DM asking him the deepest Facebook ad question you can think of.
Please do it. I will get back to you within the month.
just to flood it even further. Yeah.
Honestly, Instagram for me at this point is basically another email.
Yeah. I gave up like 2 months ago, and I feel like a dick. But I also, at this point, it's like I've left people hanging for so long, it's almost weird to reply at this point. Because some of the questions were time sensitive. I looked through them and I'm like, oh man, I can't reply to this now.
Yeah. And when that happens to me, I'm usually like, hey, sorry I didn't get to you in time. Thanks for being patient. I'm glad you got it solved, or I hope you got it solved. Did you get it solved? Or just kind of jump in where they are. But I think one of the reasons I want to to put together a community and put together a course and these other things outside of kind of the social media platforms is that I want to be able to reply to every single one of those DMs and every single comment and say, hey, look, if you have questions, I hope you'll come join us here at community.tomdupree3rd.com. I am on there every day, and a bunch of other people are on there every day too. So if I'm not present and available at the moment you need help, odds are somebody else will be there who can help you. So even if it's not me, you're going to get the help you're looking for, and this is a good place to do that.
I will say that there is a nice thing about having your community on Facebook. It's that people are already hanging out there.
Yeah.
And groups on Facebook, like, they're like what pages were a while back, where like if someone writes in a group, it's like it'll get to everyone that's in the group pretty well. Yeah. And that's, because I have a forum on my website, and there's like a whole music marketing section. And there's probably just as many people in that as my course, I think. There might be more, because it's free to join my forum, but people are only on my forum if they're on my forum.
Right.
They have to make a conscious decision to go log in, read a topic, make a post, whereas Facebook, they're just already hanging out.
I wonder if you would get similar engagement, because almost everybody's on mobile these days. Like, when's the last time you checked Facebook on your computer, right?
Yeah. Well, for me today, but for average people.
For the average person. Yeah. But I wonder if you might not get a similar amount of like connectivity through an app like Telegram or Discord, something that send a notification to somebody.
Discord would be a great option. The only reason I didn't do that is because the search functionality sucks in Discord. Like Facebook, you can make I remember what they call them. They're like guides. You can like pin post as like guides. You can make like guide 1, guide 2, guide 3. You can make it frequently asked questions. You can tag post as like useful for certain things. Whereas on Discord, like it's kind of just it's more like AIM in a way, like AOL Instant Messenger from back then. It's just like a big thread of chat that you can search, but it's like it's not organized in any way. And but
it's something that I hadn't thought about that. It's a consideration to take in.
Yeah, because like let's say you have a course with at first it's going to be like you and 20 people, and people might log in regularly for the first few weeks, but after that initial phase, they're probably not going to log into your site. But Facebook, like I have people who purchase my initial like first 20 seats that still reply to like every people's questions. Like there's people in my course that are like incredibly helpful, like way more than like anyone almost should be. Like they're fantastic people. They help everyone with everything. And I don't if my site wasn't on Facebook, like it'd be inconvenient for them, So that's why I did it. And every so often someone complains about it being on Facebook because they're like, I don't use Facebook, and my argument is like, this is a course about Facebook ads. You literally have to use Facebook to do the stuff in this course. Yeah. So that's the other reason why I decided on using Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I've thought about it too, leaving, because I hate that I don't own it. That Facebook at any time can just throttle the reach in the group, and I might just.
That's what I want to avoid. I really would. I want it to be, I've talked to a few people on WhatsApp as well, outside of Instagram DMs, and that kind of just like engagement through there. It feels like I'm texting, but I know it's a little more than that, and that feels really cool. And so I'd like to have that.
Which site did you say?
WhatsApp.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'd like to kind of, but I don't want to use WhatsApp because I don't own it. It's on Facebook.
Right. You could use like Slack. That's probably the.
Yeah. So I think Slack and Discord are comparable in many ways.
They are.
I use Telegram, but I've heard Telegram's really cool. And the only problem with Circle is I think they don't have an app yet. I may be mistaken. So I'd like to have something with an app. Mighty Networks has an app though, which is
I
pretty
do.
good.
Yeah, I took a YouTuber course last year.
Yeah.
And they did it through Mighty Networks. It was really cool because you can, like, what they did after it is like, it was like a 12-week course or 10-week course, and you were in this like dedicated thing separated from the general community, where you could like really get one-on-one help with a small team. But then you could also branch out and go to this bigger community. And then once the course ended, if you wanted to, you could opt to like continue paying like a small fee monthly to stay in this thing and keep tabs and everything. And it was like really just clever, you know, like how it all worked.
That sounds cool. I like that.
Yeah. So we were doing comments, and that was like the world's longest reply to a comment.
We just got on a massive tangent.
Yeah. AFAKI Digital, Afaki Digital. What if I don't run conversions? Run conversions. However, you can use landing page views as an alternative with something like URL Genius, or you could set up a landing page in a clever way where a landing page view only fires after they click the button. You know, like let's say you use ToneDen. Let's say you don't have a custom domain, you can't do conversions for whatever reason. You use ToneDen, you don't do a custom domain, you don't install your pixel on ToneDen, but instead of putting a Spotify link in the Spotify button, you put in a URL Genius link or a what's the freaking company?
Pixel Me.
Pixel Me. Use like a Pixel Me or URL Genius link, and then it'll fire landing page view only after they click the button, and then you can make a conversion campaign, but it's not a conversion campaign, which also means no iOS 14 restrictions, no custom domain, no any of that jazz, and also so that's the fix.
Arguably a much easier way to go about it.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if there's any downside. I mean, like, it's good having a custom domain. I've definitely noticed my click-through rate on some of my landing pages is like 90% now after using a custom domain. Before it would always be around like 40 or 50.
Yeah.
Now it's like 80 or 90, which is nuts.
Yeah, it's wild.
But
it's a big as well.
Yeah. So that's the fix, Afaki Digital. Let's see. Do you have you have the chat open too?
I do. Alstar. Alstar's always in my lives, throwing the dab.
Oh yeah, Tom, it's been a while, brother. Let's give it a dab. Dab.
he always comes in hot with the dab.
Yokai Beats. What's the best ad strategy for the first single release with video for female artist, mainstream pop, no fan base yet? What do you think?
Well, I think if it's me, I would not try to throw everything at the wall with a release campaign, $50, $100 a day. I would start small or at $10 a day and just send traffic to your profile. There's no downside to sending it to your profile if you have only one song. So I would send traffic to your profile and just focus on growing followers, getting as many streams as you can, getting as much data as you can. Do that for like a month. And then if you want to try to bump the budget up, you've got some good data, then you can try to, do something more and maybe get Discover Weekly. You'll probably miss Release Radar, but that's okay for the first one.